Bramwell Mackay assists managers of multifamily and commercial real estate properties with exterior and structural condition assessment and end-to-end building wellness. Your consulting partners for water intrusion inspection and remediation, Bramwell Mackay handles historic restoration and repair, as well as modern repair needs. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. That's 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hey guys, it's Rob Kendall. Thanks so much for checking out the Rob Kendall Show. And remember, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about us. If you own a business or you're in charge of making decisions for your business, we'd love to get to know you. We'd love to learn more about what you do and how here at the Rob Kendall Show, we can help you get your word out to a very loyal group of people. Because, you know, that's what we have with viewers on the Rob Kendall Show, a really loyal group of people. Send us an email, sales@robkendallshow.com, sales@robkendallshow.com. And I look forward to getting back in touch with you to learn more about your business and how the Rob Kendall Show can help you grow.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget the website, robkendallshow.com. Joined in studio by one of the best writers in the business from Politico, senior national political correspondent. That title probably comes with a pretty big paycheck. The great Adam Wren. Adam, hello.
Good to be with you, Rob.
Okay, so tell us, you're working on something that's really fascinating, and it goes back to a piece that you did back in December on redistricting. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. The primaries are in full swing, and you said there's going to be buku money spent potentially on trying to defeat these Republican senators in Indiana who voted against redistricting.
Yeah, so for months we've been following, as many people have, the drama at the Indiana State House and the battle between MAGA forces and, the more traditional parts of the Republican Party that remain here in Indiana, influenced by people like former Governor Mitch Daniels and former Governor Mike Pence. They're still a fragment of the Republican Party that hasn't fully synced up with MAGA, and we saw that in the redistricting battle that played out at the State House in December. And, all of these forces, whether it's Turning Point USA, whether it's Club for Growth, whether it's any number of state-based PACs or dark money groups, have pledged to really challenge these state senators who voted against redistricting. And we're going to find out in just a matter of weeks, number one, how much money they're willing to spend. I think it'll be in the seven figures potentially.
So well over $1 million.
Yeah. That's what they've pledged to spend here through 2028 to fight these Republican senators and get a more conservative Republican Party, a party they believed is more aligned with MAGA and President Trump.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions about this, because one of the things I have struggled with from a political perspective, and I got no love for any of these people, right? So it's fine with me if they all go down. But it seems like they kind of just did what their constituents wanted. The polling was overwhelming that Indiana was against redistricting. Do you have any idea what the case is going to be to the public when these senators appear to just have done what their constituents wanted?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, a lot of this advertising and a lot of the predicate for this is going to be to point to what's happening in Virginia, where Democrats are likely to pick up a number of seats and say, look, we're going to be the Indiana interests are going to be outchecked by places like Virginia, places like California, and because you didn't act in December when it mattered, and you're not fully aligned with President Trump on this issue. And when it comes to the midterms, the Republican Party and President Trump's agenda are potentially going to be under threat because you didn't act to do mid-cycle redistricting when it mattered most. And so now you sort of have to pay this political price. What's also happening here, though, is President Trump is essentially putting himself on the ballot in these 6 state Senate districts. And so it'll be an easy way to check his political power and what political power he has in a state that he won handily in both 2016 and 2020 and also in 2024.
Adam Wren, senior national political correspondent for Politico, is our guest. We're talking about this primary battle that's going to take place. My thing is, okay, you got, 6-ish people they've really invested in or claim they're going to invest in. They're all over the state. And nothing against these people, they're not exactly rock stars, right? Like, again, like when Greg Ballard's running as an independent, you go, okay, everybody's going to know him. He's going to be able to raise money. He's a known quantity. Are these people who don't have experience campaigning, they don't have a big name ID, is just having some money thrown at them or Turning Point USA come in, is that going to be enough?
It's hard to say, Rob, but we will find out a clear answer to this in May. But some of these people are well-known bastions in their community. You think of somebody like Greg Walker. He's backed by local business owners in Columbus and has been around for a long time in the state Senate. And that name ID starts to get built in. You look at someone like Roderick Bray, who's not up until 2028. The Bray name has significant, traction in his part of the state. But some of these other senators, you think of someone like Linda Rogers, it's unclear. And so I don't think anybody's under the illusions that MAGA is going to claim or knock down all 6 of these state senators.
Right.
But they want to find somebody to make an example of. You look at Spencer Deary up in West Lafayette, a former aide to former Governor Mitch Daniels. If they could make an example of someone like him who was really out to the gates early in saying that he would be not back mid-cycle redistricting, that would be a clear win for them, and they could kind of claim victory there.
Can you win just on one thing? This is part of my frustration with these people running against these senators. Again, I have no love for any of these people. If they all lose, that's great. But they don't seem to be running on anything other than this. Like, there's so many big issues: property tax, utility bills, corruption, IEDC, all these things. Now the tolling issue with I-70. They're not talking about any of that. It's just all based around Trump and redistricting. And I just wonder, does redistricting move enough people?
Yeah, redistricting, broadly speaking, across Indiana, taking part in mid-cycle redistricting was broadly unpopular, polls show us. The Senate Majority Campaign Committee, the campaign arm of Senate Republicans here in Indiana that's tasked with defending a lot of these seats, defending incumbents, they did their own polling during last summer and into early fall, and they found that among MAGA Republicans who voted for Trump, believe in the president's agenda, it was broadly popular that they
Which that's all you need in a primary, I guess.
Right, that they wanted to see mid-cycle redistricting. So there was a lot of sort of signals in the noise, and we're about to separate the two the closer we get to May.
One more thing on this. It seems odd to me because this was all supposedly about the 1st congressional district, right? They so wanted to win that seat. We're wasting all of this money on getting rid of these senators, which is great, right? If they all go down, fine, wonderful. But if the goal was to get the 1st district, which is somewhat a swing district, why wouldn't you just put all the money into the district and recruit a really good candidate? And if Trump and the Republicans are that popular, you'll win the district.
Yeah, I think the White House and the governor's office here in Indiana would say, let's be serious. The 1st district, as it's currently drawn, is not winnable. Jennifer Ruth Green got close in 2022. Obviously, she's not running this year.
Yeah, she had a bit of a rough patch there.
And I think that they would sidestep that and say it's really not winnable. And that was Roderick Bray's case all along, was let's find a good candidate, let's try to win in the 1st district. But really, by saying that they can't win it, that's kind of a tell that the only way that they could have won it is by redrawing it and checking. The argument would be checking, what was happening in California with Gavin Newsom's ploy, and then checking what's happening in Virginia, and that just just didn't work out. And so I think it's really not winnable.
You cover politics all over the country, right? You're obviously based here in Indiana, so you do a lot of Indiana stuff, but you cover politics all over the country. And I never know your opinion on anything. Do you ever just look at these people and want to go, what the hell is wrong with all of you people?
You know, my job is to help readers understand how political figures think and how they see, their own case, the case that they're making to the public, how they understand their own life, and how their own life got them to where they are today. And if I can do that and make them seem a little bit more human or render their humanity as much as possible on the page, then I feel like I got my job accomplished. And beyond that, I'll let readers sort of form their own opinions about these, but certainly it's an exasperating time to cover what's unfolding in the country, and that's not to weigh in on the politics of all of it, but just in Texas, where I spent a lot of time over the last few weeks and have covered State Representative James Tallarico's rise since 2023.
Do you think he was going to win that primary?
I did, yeah, I did. I thought it would turn out about exactly like it did, going into what we were seeing, because, to get to the exasperating point, his opponent, Jasmine Crockett, had a reporter, Elaine Godfrey at the Atlantic, tossed from one of her rallies, and for the press, there are difficult headwinds right now, and I think with Tallarico, one of the things that he did was he managed to build relationships with people like reporters at the New Yorker, which profiled him. He kind of cultivated not only his social media following on TikTok and Instagram and X, but he also cultivated traditional media, which I think helped get his message out there before the primary. And Jasmine Crockett was not doing that.
That's the blueprint for the Democrats here, right? Which is going to lead me to my next topic here in just a minute, which is the Beau Bayh piece you're working on. But you got to have normal people that talk about normal stuff. Like Tallarico may be a big liberal, probably is, I don't know, but he comes off like very unoffensive. He comes off very like not standoffish, and he really avoided any pitfalls of saying anything crazy. And if you're the Democrats, that's what you got to be doing.
Yeah, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you have to be able to crack the new media mix, the new media ecosystem that we're seeing right now that is largely fractured. And President Donald Trump did that expertly in the way that he reached out to the Manosphere podcast in 2024, the way that even now he's taking direct calls from reporters about the war in Iran and getting out the message that he wants out when he wants it. Now, granted, some of those calls and some of the information are occasionally conflicting by the hour. Even
you're so nice the way you say things. You're just always so in the middle.
Even some of my colleagues have been able to reach him, and that accessibility allows him to get his message out. But he was on podcasts. He was talking to the traditional media, and the candidates on both sides of the aisle right now, who are doing well, who are getting their story out there, their message, are figuring out how to operate in this fractured media ecosystem better than their opponents.
Adam Wren, Politico, senior national political correspondent, is our guest. A couple minutes left with him. So you're working on a piece on Beau Bayh. He's the presumed or likely Democrat nominee for Secretary of State, although he has some pretty, at least from the people that'll vote at convention, what is seen as legitimate competition in Blythe Potter. Can he do it? I mean, like, he's got the name, he's got the look, he's got the heritage, but he's never run for political office before. What are you finding in your interactions with him and with his orbit?
Yeah, what I think is fascinating, and this is happening across the map, is that Democrats who are doing well, whether it's in a place like Texas or here in Indiana, they are running against their own party's brand.
Yeah.
They are not running, with a big capital D in front of their name or after their name. They're running for all intents and purposes as independents.
Yeah.
They're running against the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. We saw from NBC polling reporting earlier this week that one of the only entities polled by NBC that has a worse rating than the Democratic Party as a brand is Iran. I think it's like a single digit space difference there. And so
let me ask you real quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but these guys, when they see that, do they go, it never seems like anybody ever goes, hey, we got to make some changes around here. Do these guys ever see that and go, well, we're almost as bad as Iran. Maybe it's time to, mix things up a little bit.
Well, I think that's going to be a huge challenge of this year and next year, and it was last year as well. Democrats have a real problem with their party brand, and they need to figure that out. And so they're doing all sorts of interesting things to try to improve their authenticity. Someone like Beau Bayh doesn't really mention the Democratic Party a lot, even though he is a scion of the Democratic Party here in Indiana and nationally. His grandfather was an influential senator. His father was governor, senator. But they have to run against the brand, and so you're seeing people in the Democratic Party try to look like outsiders by cursing more. They're growing beards.
Does that work?
We'll find out. We'll find out this November.
What's the state where the guy he's running in a primary? Is it New Hampshire? Where the guy had tattoos that they were saying are Nazi based.
Yeah, it's Graham Plattner in Maine,
and he's winning.
And he's doing well.
Yeah.
We're seeing him raise significant funds, and he's beating the sitting governor there, Janet Mills, in a number of the polls. But yeah, Democrats have to solve this problem. Now, if you look back to 2004 and the brutal loss that John Kerry had then, and you look at 2005, and in 2006 in the midterms, the biggest way to solve your problem, and the thing that solves a lot of problems and covers a multitude of sins, is just winning races. And so if Democrats can win back the House, maybe the Senate in November, they could just paper over a lot of the deeper fundamental problems that they have with the electorate by just winning. And that could wash away a lot of their problems.
Does Ballard help or hurt Beau Bayh?
I think that there's been a lot of hand-wringing over this. First of all, I think that Ballard has significant obstacles to even get on the ballot. And I think, a lot of the coverage so far has been, sort of, glancing at that problem. He has a significant obstacle.
37,000 signatures is a lot.
Yeah. And, those signatures are going to be gone over by both Republicans and Democrats with what I would call proctological care and precision.
I'm going to steal that phrase.
And
proctological care.
And, so I think, whether or not he can do that, we'll have to all watch and find out. Maybe he very well can. But, his name ID outside of Indianapolis and the donut counties, I think, is lower than what you might expect. The only polling that we have informing his viability is 4 months old.
Yeah.
And, I think primarily, though, I do not see the Bayh campaign sweating Ballard's entrance into this race. I think, fundamentally, they think if it comes to fruition, it'll be good for them and a referendum on Diego Morales. Clearly, the Republican Party is not happy about it.
Were you surprised at the freak out? These people lost their minds.
I'm not surprised at the freak out because it plainly says, what they see as them having a problem with Diego Morales. He is an embattled incumbent. They're staring at, for the first time, a perfect storm where they could be swept for the first time in several decades from holding every statewide office in Indiana. And this is the same thing that Evan Bayh did when he won his Secretary of State's race. He gave Democrats a foothold in government and used that to climb to a gubernatorial spot.
He is one of the best reporters in the business, senior national political reporter. Did I get it right?
You got it right, yeah.
Correspondent. I want to make sure we get it right.
You got it right.
You're moving up in the world. Adam Wren, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me. The easiest place to find all my work is on X, at Adam Wren, Wren like the bird.
That's right, with a W. Adam Wren, thank you.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Rob.
Yeah, you've been watching Rob Kendall Show.
Your bathroom fan could be secretly costing you thousands of dollars in damages. Most people don't even know this until the damage is done. With over 18 years of bathroom remodeling experience, here are 3 signs your fan is failing you without spending a dime on inspections. Sign number 1 is if you have foggy mirrors after you shower. This shows that your fan isn't pulling out enough moisture, which creates the perfect environment for mold. If you have a properly functioning bathroom fan that is the right size for your space, you shouldn't see much fogginess on your bathroom mirror at all. Sign number 2 is if you have bubbling, cracking, or peeling paint in your bathroom. This means moisture is soaking into your walls, slowly breaking down drywall, and even causing the wood framing behind it to rot. Sign number 3 is if you have mold buildup on your fan, ceilings, or walls. This is terrible for your health, but also could wreck your bathroom, costing you a fortune. If you're noticing any of these signs, here's what you can do.
Call Vent Savvy today at 317-300-4434. That's 317-300-4434 and mention Rob for a free attic inspection.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheesam.
Bramwell Mackay assists managers of multifamily and commercial real estate properties with exterior and structural condition assessment and end-to-end building wellness. Your consulting partners for water intrusion inspection and remediation, Bramwell Mackay handles historic restoration and repair, as well as modern repair needs. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. That's 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.